Hey everybody, welcome back to the Botch Pit. I'm Chris.
Hey, I'm Nick.
And nobody else is fucking here. Alright, so allow me to clarify some stuff here. So typically, Lenny and Jill come as a package. And Lenny was in a rather serious car accident this week. He's absolutely fine. But it has put him behind at work. He's got a lot of stuff going on. He's overwhelmed. And I believe he's probably crying into a bottle somewhere tonight. So right now it's just me and Nick for the moment, but we do have a special guest. We'll get back to that in a second. Nick, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, dude.
I'm glad to hear it.
Finally doing good.
Yeah, he's finally doing good because we're actually going to play tonight.
Yes.
And it's been like 2 months.
My balls are the biggest blue you can possibly imagine.
We're talking agate. Agate
Elephantitis.
Blue? Elephantitis, agate blue balls. Yes.
It's been 2 months.
I see we've classed ourselves up in the time since we've thought. So, Nick, what's going on with you, man?
Not much. Just with work, we're traveling a lot more right now. And because of that, just trying to get everything together, both between that and the Botch Pit. But you've had some stuff going on as well too.
I've had a lot going on.
Yeah.
Let's talk the positives. I got a huge promotion at work.
Congratulations.
Thank you, which is awesome. But I am now up every day at 3:30, 4 in the morning, and already working by 5. So it is a department in a hospital. I don't know what I'm allowed to talk about, what I'm not really, but it's a department in the hospital. I'm now running it. We're building it up from the bottom up. We weren't actually supposed to even take it till December, January.
Mm-hmm.
And we got stuck with it like a month and a half earlier than we planned. And, it's the effort of just literally transitioning from one group to another and trying not to let stuff fall through the cracks because these people did not want to train us, obviously, because they're not doing it anymore. So there's been some unfortunate stuff. I'll spare the details for now, but long story short, my family is going to Brazil, with the exception of my daughter, Selena, my 9-year-old. They're heading to Brazil for 2 months. And again, I'll touch back on that because that will have something to do with some other topics we're going to cover with the state of the pit. But I think we should just... What do you think? Do you want to invite the special guest on now already?
Sure.
We have a special guest star on our State of the Pit.
Cool.
Let's call him in. We'll let him introduce himself. I hope you can understand him through the accent, everybody.
We're American. We're allowed to hold states in the pits. We're American.
No, I meant the guest's accent. We're from Boston, so I wouldn't say we have an accent. It's more like we have a butchering of the English language obligation to uphold.
Heading to Florida.
Steve Miller.
Jacksonville.
Steve Miller?
Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
How you doing?
This is Chris, by the way.
Chris, it's Jura.
Hi. It's Jura, everybody.
It's Jura!
Yeah, you're already
He's
being
here.
You're already being recorded, dude.
Oh, okay. So, great.
Surprise! Surprise, motherfucker!
Yes,
Surprise, motherfucker. Too
I
plowed.
am the phone a friend.
How you doing over there, buddy?
Good. Just relaxing. Did some armor crafting, playing Diablo with the missus.
Nice. What are you playing Diablo on?
The Xbox to the master race.
Don't you start with your shit, bro. Listen, we just invited you on. You're already running your fucking mouth. You didn't waste a second.
Jura, just for everyone at home, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am classified as a human meat popsicle.
Hey, Fifth Element
moved
reference. I
to-
like it.
What's that?
Fifth Element reference. I like that. I actually have a Fifth Element Lilu action figure I'm looking at right now, by the way. So
I have her costume, but I'm much too big now to fit into it.
anything will fit if you try hard enough, Jura.
So I moved to Florida a few years back. I do engineering for a company, and I like nerdy things. I like nerdy games, and I actually found you guys when sitting in my office contemplating giving up on life, and the Botch Pit came around, and
Oh, shit.
they had these wonderful guides about the days of yore and all the beautiful at the time, White Wolf Games, and it was actually Chris's sultry voice that first lured me into this pit.
Well, welcome.
Siren's call.
Then
Welcome
I
aboard.
stayed for Nick's heroic stubble.
I love it. Well, honestly, dude, you've been probably our biggest supporter, and you're awesome. So we like from day one, I kind of always told them that I considered you a member anyways, just because, dude, you've done so much to like push us out there without. You never even asked for anything. You were just like, hey, so you guys are great. I'm gonna push this on everybody that comes into the stores I hang out at. I was like, oh, okay. And you're like, no, really. Like, I'm gonna put your videos up on the TV. And next thing I know, our subscriber count started hopping up. And I was like, who's...
Well, you guys have a huge following in Florida, actually. It's kind of funny because it started out as I was like, wow, these guys know their stuff. I mean, the rules were impeccable. And I've even tried to cross-reference a few times and say, no, I don't think Nick or Chris has got that rule right. And then I look at it and I'm like, son of a bitch.
You will see me fuck up here and there. You will see me make mistakes here and there. Oh, it's definitely in there. Like, I know where they are. And actually, if you're ever curious as to see where they are, all you need to do is look under the comments. And because you will see people that are like, excuse me, I think you said Ventrue twice. And I'm like, all right, yeah, my bad. I did.
Actually, pushes glasses up. Like,
dude, I think the biggest error I ever had was people thinking that they thought I was using a homophobic slur when I was talking about Vampire.
Okay.
And I'm a lot of things, but racist and homophobic, not so much. So I was like,
no, absolutely not.
I am an abhorrible
You have hit on me far more than I'm comfortable with. No. There's a big, I wouldn't say like the largest demographic of gamers look for old White Wolf games, but there is a significant amount of RPGers who remember the days of old White Wolf, and you guys fill a really good niche in. I mean, as far as the Jacksonville area goes, I don't think there's a place around here that hasn't heard of you guys, mostly because at night I sneak into their homes. I'm 6'3", 6'5".
Don't leave anything incriminating. Nothing incriminating. Change it?
If I stand up straight, I'm 6'5". Give me a break.
Now, when you're breaking into these houses, are you wearing the Lilo costume? If you're 6'5", I think it probably looks like the equivalent of when you tie string around a turkey on Thanksgiving to keep everything inside.
It's very fair. Unfortunate and very fair. But yeah, I just push it as hard as I can because and it's organic too. Like I'm like, hey guys, have you heard the good word of Botch? And then it just goes from there.
Do you walk around with like a Bible? You're like, excuse me.
It's just the Chronicles of Darkness RPG book.
It's actually a 1976 Dodge Stratus. No,
nice.
Manual that I carry around.
I actually
Can you read that? No, sir, I cannot.
I just bring a copy of Dianetics around, and I claim that I wrote it. It's
Jesus.
No, Xenu. So I know one of the things that you've always asked for, and I feel really guilty that I still haven't done it, so I do owe you one. Your particular favorite, if I remember correctly, is Vampire. Is that correct?
It is my second favorite, but it is up there. It is very up there. Promethean will always be my favorite.
So I know how you feel. I know how you feel about the Gangrel. That's why I was thinking that it was Vampire.
Yes, Vampire, the Gangrel are a special part in my heart for them.
Is it the Protean? What is it that makes you like the Gangrel?
A lot of vampires spend their time figuring out how to exist for an eternity. And, you know, that comes into politics and bureaucracy and knowledge chasing. The Gangrel, you know what you get, okay? You get snarling teeth, you get a wicked quick temper, you get protean claws, and it's the perfect vampire because you don't have to feel bad for them. You just shoot them, and that's it. And they're perfect.
One and done. I'm all good about that.
You would appreciate the one type of vampire that gets along with werewolves. I find some irony in that.
Yeah, they fit into any zoo campaign because they're just savages. I mean, there's no like, what would the prince do? It's just, okay, avoid the Camarilla and kill everything in sight.
That sounds like a Sabat gangrel. Like, doesn't sound like a regular gangrel. Gangrels are kind of like, I want to feed. You're like, I want to fist fuck people today with a tire iron sideways. Like, that's what it sounds like. You want to play your gangrel as.
Through my hand like Wolverine.
It's a strong political affiliation, but I stand by my words.
Jura, don't you actually have Promethean tattoos? Or am I making that up?
I do.
Yeah.
I do actually have Promethean tattoos up my left arm.
Is that from when you were in the service, if I remember correctly?
Yes, I got them when I was a wee young Nord in the United States Army and not thinking very clearly. I've been in different countries growing up, but my longest terms of service was in the United States Army.
So thank you for serving, by the way. I should clarify that. That's good shit. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Go ahead. What you got, Nick?
Oh, no. So I was just going to, besides being an incredible friend of the Botch Pit, do you want to say what Jura is now to the Botch Pit?
Do you mean the ambassador? What was the title specifically?
Yeah, he's our first pit boss.
Pit boss. That's the term. So, in on the Discord, stuff like that, as we get bigger, we can't really be there all the time. Like, we just kind of can't, especially Nick, who's friggin' jet setting, and me, who is just sleep deprived. So, you have been a constant presence there, like, all the time. I love your constant, adorable flirting with Lonram. I think it's great. I think you and Gazelle get along really well. Like, certain people, I think...
Mention Sloth!
It's Sloth. I'm sorry. Nick earlier, Sloth, I hope you listen to this. Nick earlier was comparing Sloth to our rickety cricket. Do you watch Always Sunny?
Yes.
Yeah, apparently he's our rickety cricket, according to Nick.
He started out so innocent, and now he's talking about jacking off at the threads.
I don't know if there's a better way to describe our degeneration as a group as things like that. Like, when you're doing so well that you start accumulating fans, that's really cool. And then when your fans start talking about beating off in your chats,
you're like the God Machine, wasn't it?
You're like, Icarus, we're flying too close to the sun.
It's like, oh God, what have I created?
We didn't want this.
I
didn't ask for this.
Have you guys ever seen that Eric Andre where he's just like, let me in? I'm just more like, let me out. Let me out. What have I done? So, Jura, tell me, what would you like to see us do more of aside from put up gameplay sessions, in case that's what you're going to say first?
I was going to say open game sessions, but you got me.
Yeah, I knew it
before I could.
I knew it. What would you like us to do?
I would like to. You guys, first of all, you're doing great in your progression. Everybody has lives and stuff, but the way that you guys seem to stream content together and find time to continue to produce it, hats off for that. There's so much that lives inside of the little Facebook groups and stuff that we talk about day in and day out. And one of the things that I thought was really, really interesting is that each one of you has a particular passion for a different splat. And what I would like to, if I had my way, I would.
Jura, you're like fucking 6'5". It's not hard for you to get your way.
For the pit, like Nick, absolutely. What do we call Nick? What is he? He's the queen bitch.
I am the queen bitch.
The queen bitch of the realm of beautiful madness. Yeah. Here we go.
Queen bitch of the realm of madness.
It's like a pimp named Slipback. You got to say the whole thing.
A pimp named Slipback. Are we going with the pimp named Slipback? Is it that time of day already?
It is.
A pimp named Slipback.
I'd like to see modules that are created where maybe like the queen bitch is the overarching antagonist. Nothing too crazy, but you guys do such a great job of getting people introduced, new people, mind you, not just veteran players, but people who are new want to come in to listen to the content, and then they get these ideas. They get these crazy world-bending ideas. And to have a starting point that isn't, cut, copy, and stapled from other PDFs that are offered, I think it adds a little bit of personal flair, and I honestly think that I personally, and I know about 30 or 40 people that would appreciate that type of environment that you already put out.
So, without trying to give away too much, one of the things that you've consistently asked us for, and I don't want to come out and say it because Nick and I are still hashing out certain things regarding what it is. We have plans to do things actually pretty close to what you just said.
Yeah.
It's a matter of us ironing out how we want to go about it and without seeming like so you know what, I'll just come out and say it.
Just
be part
say
of
it.
this.
Honestly, truth.
All right, can I
It's
go?
the best thing you can
I
ever
go
do.
balls out on this, Nick?
Yeah. By the way, before that, I would absolutely love to do the Realm of the Queen, bitch. It's gonna happen.
I love it.
Yeah.
All
I'll
right.
get my sequence.
So one of the things we've had a lot of people ask us about is Patreon. And the catch with Patreon is, where does the line go from being a supported media group, which is what we'd like to be. Like, honestly, if we could, get, financial support that we dump back into the Botch Pit through certain projects using Patreon, we'd love to do that. But here's the issue. And I've said it before in some gameplay sessions, and I don't even know if they made it into the air yet, but I'll fucking say it. If you go and make a Patreon for your YouTube channel before you have YouTube content, you are
A scumbag, and I fucking hate you.
It's pretty shitty. It's pretty shitty. I don't like it. It's like, okay, that shows that you're not doing it out of passion or out of enjoyment for what you do. You went into it in the first place trying to make money off it.
Yeah. That burns me to a core as well.
And I have no problem getting financial support for things that we could dump back into the pit. Like, considering we do the recording at my house, it would be nice to be able to soundproof my basement. It would be nice to have like a booth. You've heard the children. Like, you will hear them again. It would be nice to be able
It
to...
adds pizzazz.
Right now, for my computer, I'm using a cracked 3 years old Windows Surface. And Nick is lucky because he has access to a suite of audio tools and equipment and things like that I just do not have access to. And, doing Patreon the right way would open the doors for that. However, we can't do something on Patreon like that ethically from our point of view without making it feel like you're not giving us money, but that we're giving you something and you're supporting it.
A transaction versus a donation.
Yeah. So we have some plans as to what we would, if we do Patreon, as to how we would like to do it and what we would like to put out. And the modules, like you just explained, is actually part of that. I'll be honest with you. That is something we've had discussions on already.
Yep.
I think I'm going to sit back and I'm not going to mention the other huge component of it because I feel like that's going to be something really fucking cool when we finally drop that. It's going to be nicely produced. It's going to be well thought out, not like everything else that we do. And
wing it?
Because we go off the cuff with like everything. Like even you've asked us specifically being like, hey, set up a Patreon. I want to throw money at you. And it's just like, that's not what...
I recall that being for Nick's bathwater specifically.
Oh, that's true. The queen bitch's bathwater.
Well, good news.
Like
he still has that same bathwater. So...
And I have the edible underwear,
it's
too.
now vintage.
So.
It's edible underwear.
Use costs more.
Use costs more. That's right. So it's something, your concept is actually pretty fucking...
Close.
Very close
Yeah.
to stuff we were talking about doing and how we want to go about it. Now, as said, my family's going to be gone for 2 months, with the exception of my daughter, who's 9. And I'm going to be throwing a lot of time and effort these next few months into the Botch Pit because, I'll be able to.
Yeah.
Why not?
And you're going to see a lot of that stuff hitting the planning stage. But here's the thing. I'm not going to do any of that without Nick's 150% support because it's such a quagmire ethically, and Nick doesn't want to feel like he's begging for money. I don't want to feel like I'm taking money for nothing. And it's just, it's got to be done right.
Yeah.
It has to be done right.
A lot of these Patreons aren't thought out. They aren't put together well, and it doesn't give the right
tone.
Yeah.
As to what the channel is.
I mean,
So my model that I'm looking at, first off, when we started doing the guides, we started putting up the gameplay sessions. If you look, the gameplay sessions went up in summer of 2018, if I remember correctly, the first ones. Right?
Yes.
2018.
I think so, yeah.
June.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was around June
Yep.
2018.
That makes sense.
So, but if you pay attention, I did one overarching review of the Chronicles of Darkness, and then it was all gameplay sessions until December.
Mm-hmm.
And up until that point, we had 13 subscribers. I remember the exact count that we had. And on December 13th, I did the first Beginner's Guide to Mage.
13 on 13.
13 on 13, yeah. And that was when we started blowing up and we realized we had something good. And then I was kind of wondering how the hell I was going to do all my stuff down. And Nick was just ranting about loving Hunter. And I was legit just like, motherfucker, just do Hunter. I was like, take it off my plate, do Hunter. He was like, I'll try it and see how it goes. And now here we are.
Yep.
So
The last two.
the last two are on Nick. I have one already written and done, but I've been in a bit of a funk, to be quite honest. And
I
I've
was
just
talking
been
about the
exhausted.
last two left in the pit.
Oh, I thought you meant the last two videos were you. And I was like, yeah,
That's true too, but
the last two videos were you. Was it?
yep, it was.
Like he's not
My body is
questioning.
waking.
He's not questioning that shit at all. So as much as the pit may have been me at the beginning, it is not me now. It is us. It is me and Nick as far as the production stuff goes.
Yep.
So I would love to just toss up a Patreon and be like, yo, sure, give me money, motherfuckers. But it wouldn't be right.
No, it's not.
And with Nick and I kind of countering each other, we can make sure we do it right. And we can make sure that we're bringing the right stuff to the table. So regarding your modules, yeah, you are going to get those. You are going to. Part of the other issue is all of the content that we do for Chronicles of Darkness, World of Darkness. I don't know if you're aware of that. We don't own it.
Yeah.
The second
Yes,
you
I'm
make
aware
it,
of that much.
Yeah. So the second you mention that, Onyx Path is like, yep, thank you. So I need to see how we're going to proceed on that level.
Yeah.
Like, do we do those modules and give the people that are on Patreon a sneak peek of it and then put it on drive-through? Or, no, I'm sorry, what is it?
No, you're right. Drive through. The
Storyteller's
storyteller's
Vault.
fault.
The
Yeah,
Vault.
same thing. It's actually all the same thing
Yeah.
if we really want to talk about that, but that's a whole story for something else. All owned by the same guy.
But it is.
Yeah.
It's all owned by the same people.
It's a Ponzi scheme.
It's a Ponzi scheme. Every time I hear Ponzi scheme, all I hear is Fonzie scheme. It's just like so, I mean, the problem when you're doing something like that is, cool, here's this content of module that we did, but the only benefit you're getting out of it is to see it a little earlier.
Yeah.
And that doesn't seem right to us.
The same with like when people do that stuff for YouTube too, where you can sneak peek the video like a day before or something
Yeah,
like that.
that doesn't seem
it's
like a
not
reward to me.
cool.
It doesn't seem like a reward to me.
No, it seems like here's a slight advantage.
Now, you know who nails this stuff? You know who nails the Patreon thing? I assume you've probably heard of them, Jura. The 25 years of VTM guys.
Oh yeah,
Nate,
they're great.
and Bob. They are fucking awesome. I'm friends with them online at this point. Friendly with them at least. I want to say friends because I talk to them. They are.
They're cringing right now, Chris. They're like,
dude, you're probably not wrong. You're probably not wrong.
this
They're
guy
like, this
likes
guy
us.
again. Shit, the Botch Pit guys. Oh, god damn it.
So fuck, here comes the Botch Pit.
God. For the record, just to clarify that, I'm actually also friends with Chris from Darker Days and Chig. I don't know if you noticed. Did you ever know of an old forum called Shadownescence?
stop it.
Did you? Are you talking to me or are you talking to your girlfriend?
Both, I guess. It's the same thing.
Rar. What you wearing, Jura?
A sack, a large burlap sack.
I have follow-up questions. So, did you ever hear of Shadownescence? You ever hear about them back in the
Yes.
day?
Yes, sir, I have. Yeah.
So, if you pay attention, almost all of us that are doing this stuff now, we all came from that. The Darker Days guys, Chris Handy and Sandchigger, stuff like that, a bunch of them are all Shadownescence people. And I came from that group. I was actually a moderator on a couple of the forums on there. I ran both of the mage forums at different points. So,
Huh.
yeah, it's kind of a small world. That's why if you ever notice that Nick gives me shit and he makes fun of me and he says, I've won awards! It's because it's because I won a bunch of awards through Shadow Essence back in the day. And he just likes giving me shit. So, the 25 years of VTM guys, if there's anybody who understands how the Patreon stuff works, it's them. They're the guys who I would like to emulate when it comes to that. And what they do is if you join the thing that they have going on, they actually have a whole forum of role-playing games that you get to play and that they kind of hop in and they moderate, and they have teams that they have moderate the games. Like, you're getting something out of that you're not getting somewhere else.
Yeah.
If only you knew someone that has way too much free time and the ability to DM.
Jura, have you noticed you're on the fucking phone right now? Like,
You're on the Botch phone.
You're involved. Like, you're in. You're like, but we need to make sure that we're doing it in the right way. We're not exploiting our fans.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't expect to have any fans ever. So, for us to have a following like we have right now, and look at, 1,400 in a year, just about.
Yeah.
We're going to have more than that. We'll have more than 1,400 in a year span of when we started doing the guides.
Yeah.
That is surreal to me. And I'll be damned if I'm going to exploit the people that are supporting us.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure, like the modules, it's a gray area because we don't own it. Like, we don't own the stuff.
Yeah. Copyright.
Yeah. So the only thing we could do is give people a sneak peek and then toss it on the vault. Because if we just tried to give it to only Patreon members, they could come after us. And
These are things people don't think about.
yeah, like I'm not in the mood to be persecuted by one of my favorite gaming companies. You know, I mean, it'd be kind of cool.
You're sitting there in your little wizard hat, and they all come up with freaking like pilgrim hats and pitchforks, and like, we're gonna burn the damn witch.
I'll be like, I saw this coming.
I'll be with them.
My
Just
ride, you
'cause.
guys are gonna go.
You'll be with me at first, and you'll work your way over to the side. It'll be like another Always Sunny reference with D and the McPoyles.
I play the long con.
The long con.
But no, I mean, like you said, there's a lot of people out there that are, sending out Patreons, or wanting to do Patreon before they even, develop any type of community or anything like that. Like, there's one dude I could clearly bring up right now, and I'm going to do it because I might cut this out.
Yeah, you're going to cut this out. You're going to cut this part out. Jura's chuckles are the best part. Because he already knows. Like, he already knows the shit we're going to say.
Yeah.
I won't say names, but I will say, again, if you make a Patreon before you have content, your heart's not in the right place.
Yeah, and calling yourself State of the Pit, too, is not a...
There it is.
Yep.
It's not State of the Pit, it was State of the something else.
Yeah, but I'm American, damn it. I can do that.
I'm just not commenting on this part. Nope.
But anyways, going back to the whole community aspect, that's something that we're, with this State of the Pit, that's what we're really trying to kind of bring up. That we're really trying to, like, foster that. So the Discord, like we mentioned, where Jura is now going to be a moderator, or is a moderator now. We're in there.
Go ahead, Jura, abuse your power. It's all right. We gave it to you for a reason.
The executioner.
Wield that shit around like a metaphorical cock and just slap people in the face when they upset you. My text is red! What color's your text, bitch?
But there's that. I mean, we just updated the website, too. We redid all that so it's easier for everyone in the
For
community.
the record,
to find
I want to make
stuff.
sure credit's given where credit's due. He keeps saying we, but I didn't do dick on that website.
Yeah, it was all me.
It was all Nick.
I'm not gonna say it, but I did.
I'll say it. I have no problem giving credit. Like, there's certain things we've all done that we all deserve credit for. He did that
Yeah, in a week,
in a week.
and only a week. But
While I've been wallowing in my self-pity and getting smashed by life, Nick was fucking flying out to Atlanta and building a website from the ground up.
but no, we
It happened so quickly too. Like, I got a text message and he's like, "Hey Jura, you want to see something cool?" And I'm like, "I swear to God, if this is a tuck picture, you're dead." And
Just so
it
you know,
wasn't.
you almost got the Buffalo Bill version. Like, it was real close.
Would you fuck me?
I'd
No,
fuck
Nick, no!
No, Nick, no.
Not like this!
Jura, you see, I've actually been friends with Nick now for over 10 years. And if you had any clue how much of a degeneration in character I've seen in the past year and a half of this kid,
My cares all went away.
it's astounding. Like, right now we're joking about the tuck job. It's not unfeasible that you would have gotten like at least like a photoshopped fake tuck job, like the Buffalo Bill picture with his face on it. It's not outside the realm of happening.
And the thing is, I'd make it look excellent too. Like,
Yeah.
like it wouldn't be like a half-assed job.
And
It would be full, full ass.
It would be that what's the filter that they use?
The what one?
The one that turns the male to female, the face app.
Whatever that is, the one I use all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, so Nick just has a habit now of taking people's pictures and flipping it for gender.
It's such a bad thing.
And it's always been male to female. It has never been female to male.
Because they turn out
So-
hideous.
Now, doesn't that give you questions? Like, there's so many questions.
I am the queen bitch.
He knows my children. It's
They hug
frightening.
me.
They hug him. They touch that. My son loves this guy.
Everyone loves this guy.
You're a Letterkenny guy, aren't you, Jura?
I have seen a few episodes of Letterkenny. I like the fat man. He is the best part of the show.
You know, that's what I like about you. That guy?
Yeah.
Yep, I can see it.
You got to pay attention to your butthole.
You gotta pay attention. I like how they'll randomly bust out the vocabulary out of nowhere, talking about stuff that, like, scientifically, like, from a medicinal standpoint, nobody would ever have a clue what they're talking about. So,
Cloaca. Like what?
yeah. The moment they're talking about the ball sack, like the entire episode, like, yeah. So, okay. So Promethean's your favorite. Vampire's your second
Yes.
favorite. Let's flip this around.
Yes.
What line out of the Chronicles of Darkness do you like the least? And you can't say Beast, it's too easy.
Oh,
I
you
know.
can't do this to me.
Is it that sad that I know you that well already?
But beasts are the bodyguards of the true Fae.
Yeah, of course they are.
The huntsman just chuckles.
Laughs in Fae. Laughs in true Fae.
Nick is gonna kill me for saying this.
It's okay.
But
You can say it.
it's changeling. I can't. I have this thing, okay, where I grew up and what I grew up with is like the Fae is a bad thing, right? Like it's not
They
good,
are a bad
even
thing.
a little bit. And to pretend to be one is like the worst thing you could do.
So
I'm
from
reading
you,
through
it's
this book,
a.
and I'm like, there's no way some little pixie creature is going to pull me through the veil and make me into a changeling. And then I read more into the book and I read the whole thing, and I'm sitting to the side and I'm thinking beside myself, I don't think the Fae could beat, a Promethean. And the more I think about it, the more I am very upset that they're the Supermen pre-1970s of the World of Darkness campaign.
Yeah,
The
it's a
only thing
no-brainer.
that could stand against them is a mage. And for that reason, I hate the Fae.
I thought you were gonna say you hate mages, and I was like,
I hate mages. They take our magic.
So I am a mage guy, but I am not completely well versed in second edition yet. What's wild is how much mage changed from first and second edition. I've never seen a game change so much. Never. So I
No
thought
Atlantis.
I thought I knew what I was talking about, and I don't. Like, I was like, oh shit. Like, I could do the lore, but when it came to systems and how the magic works, I was like, oh, I have to relearn all of this. I was like, oh, all right.
They changed math. Math is math.
Yeah. It's, you know what it is? It's actually, that's a really good example.
Yeah.
It's like going from traditional education in mathematics to Common Core. It's just like, what the fuck did
I
they
am
do?
looking it up right now
Yeah,
as we speak,
it's-
and I don't understand how they turned 5 times 4 into many, many boxes of inconsequential numbers.
Welcome to the United States, Jura.
We're American here.
Where I was like, you don't talk shit about America as conquerors. All right, listen, we chased our own parents out of our country. We actually took "Get out of our room, Dad" to a whole other level.
The Boston Tea Party was the longest yellow card song ever written.
Hey, we're in Boston. All right. Anyway, so for Mage, it was like going from a regular practical system that you already knew over to this whole other situation. So my newest endeavor, and Nick is aware of this, I have quietly been collecting every single book from the Mage the Awakening series. I have 4 or 5 left, and I've got the entire every Mage book ever created for Chronicles of Darkness. And I am going to burn all of that shit into my head. And I'm going to come back with a vengeance. So that's why I was laughing when you were saying the only thing that could take on a Fae is a Mage. And I was like, because Nick always calls himself the queen bitch of the realm of beautiful madness. He likens himself to a Fae.
Yeah.
And I call myself God Librarian, which is a Mage. So I'm like, ha-ha, trumped again, motherfucker. I got the one guy who can survive against you unless he doesn't know you're coming. And then we're squishy. So
Mages are the Batman of World of Darkness.
Jura,
Yeah.
Chronicles.
Yeah, that's what we
Jura.
related to.
I legit compared. That's exactly what I compared it to, right? That was
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I said, Jura. That's hilarious. Yep. You get me. You get me, buddy.
I understand, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Beast is the easiest cop-out. And I will say this, Changeling, the reason that they kind of overpowered the Fae is specifically for the reason that you kind of mentioned. If you were looking at a little pixie trying to drag you inside the woods, you're going to step on it. And that's why I hated Changeling the Dreaming. I'll say it. Changeling the Dreaming has one of the biggest cult followings out of the classic World of Darkness, and I cannot fucking stand it.
There are certain things in there I like, but a lot of it is just like, yeah.
The overarching idea of it, where like this realm of magic and beauty and wonder is slowly dying out due to humanity's death of imagination, is a cool concept. As a cool concept, and it was done better in Mage the Ascension. It was done much better there.
I like the cell keys.
That's very fair.
So, did you are you familiar with Mage the Ascension, dude?
I am, yes, I am.
I figured. So, I just felt like that whole idea of reality being twisted by humanity's getting more cold was done better with Mage. Whereas with Changeling, it felt like D&D. It felt like Dungeons & Dragons in the World of Darkness. And I know it's not what they were going for, and I understand what they were trying to do, but it just never vibed well for me. But you're also talking to the same guy whose 2 loves for the old World of Darkness were Mage and Hunter, because I just loved killing the shit out of other supernatural players online. So, oh yeah, that's where I... So if you're wondering where I picked up all the stuff that I know from that, it was legit Darwinism.
Yeah, the whole thing we're doing with this episode is all about community and, just bringing everyone kind of, into the light of what we've been up to recently, what we're looking to do right now in the future, and then down the road the next couple months.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the biggest thing is that now that we've got the website done, the infrastructure's there to now facilitate all of our next set of plans. Like, I know Chris and I have been mentioning for a while about getting a new logo done by our friend Brittany Cayley.
The new one.
Yes. Yeah, a new logo. And then once that's done, from there, we're going to open the gates up a little bit more with other stuff we're doing. But right now, November is a very big building month for us. Just trying to get all our ducks in order.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys got a crazy release schedule coming up.
Yeah, and I'm excited for it. Because, again, Chris is going to be, like, shotgunning this stuff like crazy. But, like, myself, like, when I can, there's another Hunter video waiting. And then we're going to go to Changeling by that time, probably. And then another Promethean after that. Those are the 3 that I'm kind of hitting. But in addition to that, there's going to be a Twice Shy episode that's going to be coming out fairly soon. Yeah, right?
How soon?
Well, I'm almost done through cutting it. It's the
Blizzard soon.
So another 2 months.
No, another month maybe. Nah, kidding. Probably a couple weeks.
I'm just kidding around. What I still have the first episode of the zoo campaign I haven't done yet, right?
Of what one?
The first 2 episodes of the zoo campaign I have.
Yeah.
So I can't.
Oh, we
say
haven't
shit.
talked about that. We haven't said what that was.
What is?
The zoo campaign.
I haven't said anything else about it.
Yeah.
I just said we got the 2 sessions. Are we supposed to talk about it or no?
Do you want to talk about it? It's the state of the pit,
We
and
can
you're
talk
back.
about it.
Yeah.
We can talk about the game we're playing now.
Yeah. Why don't we finally release what we've been talking about for a little while? I mean, if you checked out the website, it was kind of there, but no one talked about it.
So if you paid attention, about a month and a half ago, I put up sessions 18 and 19 in different parts. That was our original zoo campaign that we played.
Right, yeah.
All the dark and sad shit happened because of Nick, as always. And no, it isn't fair.
Anakin over here.
Oh, to watch a new role player's first characters dying.
No, that
as
wasn't
a
the
grown
first
man.
one. That was the third one by that campaign.
No, but that was your first real character. Because
Yeah, it
I
was.
took Viv after like 2 sessions.
3 sessions, I remember.
Wow. Okay. And then Alabaster, you got
2
you got
sessions.
killed yourself. That was you.
Yeah, maybe.
What do you mean maybe? Fuck you. You did that.
Maybe, I don't know.
But Val was your first character that you 100% owned the death of.
Yeah.
Because you just fell into every little trap. And I thought, and then you rolled like ass on top of it.
And then you did too.
Oh, I didn't roll like ass. I rolled amazing.
But your other ones didn't.
No, I rolled amazing the whole time. In every way I wish I hadn't. Like, I rolled really well for the bad guys, man. Like, I rolled really well. And all my characters got Thanos'd. Dude, I lost over 25 years worth of characters in that one session.
Oh, Jesus.
In a 15-minute time span, I lost 2 of my oldest characters. So I started playing...
Oh, that's the Mike's Hard Lemonade night.
That is the Mike's Hard Lemonade night. What an awful drink and what an awful way to get drunk. Like
Zima and Tic Tacs.
Honestly, it would have been better off with Zima. At least you don't feel like shit after drinking Zima. You just felt like you drank Sprite. Like Mike's Hard Lemonade, after drinking 1.5, you're like, I just felt like I drank sugar in water. And you feel gross. And I drank the whole fucking box in a half hour. It's not good. So just to kind of comment on that again. We played until about 3:30 in the morning that night. And Nick left. And Nick felt really awful about what happened to my characters. And he was even like, let's just not even pretend the session happened. At one point, he was just like, we can just let it go. I was like, no.
It's the first recording.
It's
I'm
fine.
like, it's done.
And, he leaves and Lenny leaves. And Brad's still hanging out. And I kind of forget Brad's even there for a second. And after they leave, I just walk over to the fridge and I start busting them out. And again, my family was in Brazil at this time. And I just start throwing them back. Like throwing them. So just for perspective, Random, that character who got killed, I started playing him about a year before Hunter the Reckoning came out. I started playing him. And then Squall, I started playing towards one of the end of my older games that I used to play with my old group back in the day. So, legit 25 to 30 years worth of characters, if you add them up, died in a 10-minute time span. So...
What's it like to cry in silence?
Actually, here's what's amazing. Here's what's amazing. I took it well. Nick was the one that started melting down over his 3-month-old character dying. And then I saved it by sacrificing my characters. And he was crying that it wasn't fair.
Looking back on it, it's hilarious.
Oh, so when you so hilarious, Nick.
You are a kind God.
So, and I'm telling, like, Nick feels awful about it, and I'm just like, dude, don't worry about it. It's all good. It's all good. He leaves, and I got fucking shitted off Mike's Hard Lemonade. It was gross. It was not a highlight of my life. It was not a highlight. It just was not.
What is the line from Guardians of the Galaxy where Drax, what's he say? I too am extremely humble. Is that like the answer after saving his character?
That sounds about right. It was fucking awful, dude. It was really bad. So, anyway, those sessions that I put up, I kind of put them up quietly, and I did share it around, and I promoted it, but I didn't tell a lot of people I was putting it up. And the reason is because we have actually already started playing a spiritual sequel to New England by Night.
Season 2. Woo!
So we are doing it in a different way to an extent. So part of what was fun about New England by Night was we had the vampires, the mages, the werewolves, and the geist. And if you really pay attention to it, those are the big heavy hitters of the Chronicles of Darkness. So when we did the new Zoo campaign, Nick is playing a Promethean, Kilmilla. I made a Demon the Descent character named Casper, who is unabashedly and shamelessly based off of Cass from Supernatural. So you got those two, and I'm trying to think of who else we added in for Supernaturals. I think that's the main two that we've already brought in as far as Nick knows. But I wanted to focus a little more on those lesser known, splats from the lines of Chronicles of Darkness. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to go just for vampires, werewolves, and just mages as player characters straight out the gate. But a lot of the characters from New England by Night are reappearing. Odra's back in it. So far, actually, Odra's the only one that's kind of popped up.
That I
to the
would
best
know
of your
about.
knowledge.
Yeah.
To the best of your knowledge. So, and I'm kind of hiding some stuff in plain sight, too, to see how long it takes for people to catch on. But we've already started. We're about 4 sessions in.
5, I think.
We're 5. We're about to hit 5, right? This will be 5.
There's been a few. What's cool about this campaign is it's not just everyone together, but sometimes it's like one-on-one solo stuff that's been going on. So it's kind of interesting as both, a player to see how that's way different.
But so that's what we've been working on. We actually have like 5 sessions in. Twice Shy, the Geist campaign, is completely done.
Mm-hmm.
We finished the entire arc. It just takes a long time for Nick to produce that one because of the level of quality he puts into that one. Not to say he puts less quality into the other stuff, but it's like the ghost effects, the music. He has those all keyed up uniquely to each specific microphone. The channel, I should say.
There's a lot that's going into it because I don't really, talk about my background, but I've been audio engineering now for about 12 years. And I am fortunate that I get to meet a lot of great people in my line of work. So
just for clarification, I won't say the school or the name or anything, but Nick teaches audio at an actual school for music.
Yeah.
He is a saxophone teacher.
Yep.
He has a master's in business.
Mm-hmm.
Nick is extremely qualified for his aspect of what he does with this. Nick makes me feel fucking dumb.
If I might interject for a moment, the one thing that Nick is not good at is being 3 hours away from me in either direction and forgetting to tell me.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
That sounds like Nick. That sounds like him.
Yeah.
It's funny because when we first met you, when we were talking about you, and you'd mentioned us getting together, Nick was kind of like, what if he wants to harvest my organs? Like, what if this dude is just fucking crazy? And I was like, well, he is crazy. I was like, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that's fine. That's why we get along with him. My whole premise was, if Jura's telling even the truth about a quarter of what he's saying, I was like, we fucking have to hang out with this guy. And we've talked to you enough times since that we know you're not full of shit. And that might be the scariest part of all. And that laugh doesn't make it sound any less sinister.
We've looked past the veil.
Because who else would get on a conversation out of nowhere and be like, oh yeah, I was just building my armor, what's up? Like, it's not normal conversation, Jura. It's not normal conversation. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that.
And meanwhile, I'm over here like, what type of battle armor?
But that's what I appreciate about you. I'm like, yeah, he's fucking weird because we're all weird. That makes sense to me, that we would draw people like that.
What are you doing on a Friday night? Drinking beers and waiting for the Alabama-Louisiana game. What about you? Building combat armor. I need help.
You're like, which one will be more practical when the revolution comes?
You're all laughing now, but when I'm wearing a full set, he'll still be laughing.
You should just wear that.
It's unarmored.
You should just wear that to go get gas and shit. Like, just wear it to go get a cup of coffee. Like, you just go out rocking the armor. And you would
my
too.
biggest fear isn't that I'll have the armor on and like something will happen because like I can't handle the fight. It's my biggest fear is that something will happen and I'll have to fight, and I don't have the cardio for that anymore.
I like how you're not trying to sound like a tough guy at all. You're like, I run out of breath putting on the armor.
Yeah, like I'm winded thinking of it.
Well, dude, you're like 6'5". You're putting
Yeah,
on that armor
I
is
eat a
probably a
lot of
challenge.
cheeseburgers,
How
yeah.
much does that armor weigh?
The current one is, I think, 38 pounds.
Shit. And how much did
Like
the
a
vest
small-
you were wearing the other day weigh?
What's that?
How much did the vest you were wearing the other day weigh?
Oh, Jesus. Like probably 12. 12-ish?
So let's ask you this question. So I know you said you've been playing since you were 12. You said about 25 years? Is that what you said?
22 years, yeah.
22 years. Okay.
Roughly.
So what games have you played? What's your background?
Obviously I played a crap ton of World of Darkness. I am known to do some D&D and Pathfinder, and I can't find a group that wants to play the games that I prefer. The Dark Eye it's like a German-based D&D.
For the record, we just got recently exposed to Cult, which is our kind of first majorly, at least my majorly foreign
He just laughs.
role-playing game.
He just laughs
So,
at you.
I mean, I'm getting more intrigued by that stuff. Like, I like the foreign, like, normally it's all European, Anglo-Saxon, and American role-playing. You really don't see a lot of country stuff. So seeing Cult was really cool. Like, that's a dark fucking game, and I like it.
Cult is smart.
So, and you're saying Dark Eye is more like is it a more dark D&D, or what do you think? What is it?
If I can remember correctly, like statistics speaking, it came out I think in 88. It was the first edition, and then it got revised. I think it sold more copies in Europe than D&D did.
Huh.
And for obvious reasons. And the original Cult as well, like, didn't do very well because
Yeah, that sold
everyone
well.
was pretty against it. But
Oh, it didn't sell well.
But it had a cult fall. It had a cult following. Librarian. Sorry, go ahead.
It's D&D, really. I mean, the setting's the same. It's just probably a bit more. Whereas D&D is high fantasy, this is more like Kirby's depiction of Conan the Barbarian, what it was meant to be, Conan the Conqueror.
So just more savage.
It's got like it's definitely more savage worlds, And it was fun. It had its time.
All right, so what else you got? What else is in your background? You got World Darkness, Chronicle Darkness, Evil Eye, Pathfinder, Cult.
More recently, I've been doing Tiny D6. I think it's Gallant Knight Games made that one. It's easy, super easy to pick up. Let me think.
The only D6 game series I can think of that I was really intimate with was the old West End game Star Wars.
God.
That
And it was good. Don't get me wrong. That was a good system.
But it was very basic. It was super basic.
Oh, while we're on the subject of different countries' contents, if I could really point out this one, there's a company called. Am I allowed to say like different companies and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we're not owned by Onyx Path or White Wolf or anyone. In case you can't tell,
they don't want us.
There is a company called Six More Vodka. They're a Polish company, I believe. So they created something back in the day. There was a game called The Genesis, and it was absolutely fucking amazing. It had to
was it
do
spelled
with,
differently?
What's that?
Was it like GENEYSEIS or something like that? Wasn't it spelled differently?
The Genesis, yeah.
I think
with a Y.
I've heard of it. I think
they recently rebooted it, and it is absolutely the best D6 game I have played, in my opinion, in the past 20 years. It is brilliant. It is definitely. If I can get another copy, I will send it up to you guys. But it is a hard game to get a hold of, a physical copy. But my God, it explores the concepts of like, so America is pretty much gone in this game. I mean, like, but so the company they make this game called the Genesis. It's actually the Genesis Reloaded. I'm sorry, I just to bring the PDF up. And the concept of the game is that mankind evolved over time, and there's these spores that developed and they mutate over the land and stuff. And so because the genes in mankind they start to evolve into psionics, and the psionics take over certain parts of the land and produce I forget what they're called. They're different names, but they're like creepy giant psionic dudes. Their faces are missing, but all their skins melded together, and the one faction has like a huge mutated claw for a hand, and it's like you don't just have to manage politics. Like different countries don't specifically like each other. Like the Helvetics come from Switzerland. They're not too keen on like the Nubians that come from Egypt, and all those people believe in bringing homeopathic remedies, and the combat is super lethal. Like you definitely don't want to get into combat in that game if you're not ready. And on top of that, you're managing like your infection. So if you breathe in the air, you become infected. It's just a really good game. There's a trailer
really cool
for it that got released. I think they did one in English. And if they did, I'll send you guys a link for it. You at least check that out. It's so well done. It's live action. They spent thousands of dollars on just the one guy's makeup. So I mean, definitely worth a shot to look at.
Have you noticed a stronger influx of foreign role-playing games making its way to the United States scene the past like 3 years? Because I definitely feel like I have, and it's a good thing.
I think that, so the one concept that I had to learn very quickly is that different cultures provide you with different viewpoints. And for a perfect example, there's I think it's a merit or a vice that's explored in the Genesis. I think it's called it's Schadenfreude. And it's like there's no concept in English that says you enjoy the misfortune of somebody else's existence. And that's an exclusively German concept. So when you get these games that are like produced in Germany, or they're produced in Poland, or they're produced in France, like Rotishek or a couple of the other old tabletop games, it's interesting to see how their concepts of psyche play into it. It's pretty cool. I mean, it adds a lot of flavor to the usual stab dragon, save wench, get coin.
You're absolutely right. There's not a huge psychological aspect to a lot of the American role-playing scene. And I do feel like that's starting to shift. And I think that's kind of why Cult kicked ass when it came out. I don't know if you're aware of this, but Cult was actually kickstarted. Like, it wasn't just published. It had to get supported and brought back. So...
yeah, it was banned. It was banned for a very long time.
Have you opened that book? I mean, I get it. Like, I see it.
Page 127. Look it up. You won't mistake it.
I'm going to go look after this. Like, I'm looking at the book right now across from me. So when I was younger, one of the things I tried to do, I actually started role-playing with, out of all things, I didn't start with AD&D. I didn't even start with Star Wars directly. I started off with the old TSR Marvel role-playing game. The one that had the one that had the face rip system and the graph you had to use. Do you remember that thing?
That's older than I am. It's about 26 years old. Yeah,
1988, 1987 or so. Yeah, and I mean, I didn't start playing it then. I was 9, so I probably started in 1990, 1991, I think. But that was the first system I ever learned, and there's really not a whole shitload of variety in the role-playing game scene in the United States. Again, you got Chronicles, World of Darkness, but even those, a lot of that stuff came from Sweden. Like, that all came from, it had a Swedish background. So if you really look at it, the only United States-based role-playing game you ever had is Dungeons & Dragons. Now, in all fairness, we can also point out the fact that that's the game that really solidified role-playing in the first place.
Yeah, it's the brand. Yeah.
So, I mean, let's be fair. Yeah, we didn't have a lot, but the one that we had was a home fucking run. But, like you said, it's stab the dragon, save the wench, get coin. Like, it's pretty straightforward unless the individual DM makes it psychological or makes it mean something else. So this influx of role-playing games coming from other countries and other cultures, I think it's the best thing to happen to role-playing in a long time. Variety. Like Vampire 5th edition is nothing like 4th. And it's both its greatest strength and its biggest weakness. So, I don't know.
What do you think attributes the success of these foreign games coming into the market?
Boredom. I think it's completely boredom. I think it's like you just said. All right, I've seen Lord of the Rings. I've played Lord of the Rings. I understand this concept. All right, let's do it again. And then even if you look at it back in the mid-'90s or early 90s, back when TSR still owned Dungeons & Dragons, they tried to branch out. I don't know if you remember Starjammer or...
oh, God.
Yeah, Starjammer, Dragonlance, Ravenloft, when they broke it all up into Forgotten Realms.
Yeah.
And I think Gamma World was the other one. I'm pretty sure. But if you pay attention, yeah, they're all different themes. Ravenloft was horror. Dragonlance was the high fantasy. Starjammer was Dungeons & Dragons in space. But that was the problem. They were all still Dungeons & Dragons. Even the Marvel role-playing game was still another variety of Dungeons & Dragons. So, you know, after 40, 50, 60 years, you're going to get fucking desperate from stuff from other countries. But the problem is Americans are not necessarily mature enough to handle some of the role-playing games from other countries. And if you doubt that, look back on 1996 and look up Vampire the Masquerade. Look up at the murders that happened. Like, there were...
Yeah, that was absolutely crazy.
So, I already have an entire... Do you remember, like, about a month and a half ago, there was a new video format I did called Breakdown, which is where I kind of talked about, I think, what was it, Classic versus Old World?
Yeah, it was the Classic versus Old...
yeah.
But it was an editorial.
It was an editorial. I did an editorial about the controversies and the drama surrounding the years of Vampire the Masquerade. It's already done. It's already written. I just got to get it recorded. And it's really sad to see that one of our first exposures to a different variety of role-playing game aside from Dungeons & Dragons led to legitimate death and murder because our youth gets fucking jaded. And I'm not going to say why or how, mostly because I think it's outside of my full intellectual skill set to be able to diagnose a generation. Like, it's just not something I could do. That there's something different about American culture in role-playing games. And while I think it's great that we're getting these other foreign role-playing games in, the question is, what are the growing pains going to be? How are we going to adapt? Like, there was a version of
fair.
Cult. Yeah, I mean, look at Cult. Cult had a version of the book that was totally uncensored.
Black.
The Black Edition, is that what it's
Black
called?
Edition.
And you
Black Edition, yeah.
you
That
can't...
was the Kickstarted only edition.
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
then they actually brought it to stores.
But the fact that even made it to stores in this country,
It's in Newberry Comics.
that shocks the shit out of me. The way that we try to censor our youth, which is ridiculous in itself. But I digress. I think it's good that we do have other cultures' games coming in, or else we wouldn't have Vampire and all that shit. So
Now, Jura, I know when we talked, it was a couple weeks ago when we were actually just sitting down and like playing stuff. But Jura, there was this game that you were talking about that intrigued me for introducing people to role playing in general. A very simple system. Was it called 10 Candles? Is that what it was?
Oh, yes, 10 Candles, yes.
Yeah, could you just
That
explain
is-
a little
it's
bit about
very,
that
very
for people?
simple.
that's not a
Yeah.
game. That's a movie, and it was called 16 Candles. Don't you know fucking anything?
Another cry moment brought to you by Chris.
Jura, I need to make it very clear that if this entire recording had been nothing up to that moment except for that laugh, this whole thing would have been worth it. I just want you to understand that.
But yeah, could you explain that for people that might be, looking to get a group of their friends to maybe start getting into this? Because it could be very interesting,
Sure. So 10 Candles is again, it's a D6 game. I forget who makes it. I can find that out and send you guys a link too. But essentially, it is a world-building game where you sit down with your party group and you decide who or what the antagonist is, what the monster is, and that monster takes over the world. For whatever reason, however way it does it, it takes over the world. And the game is not a game in which you survive. The game itself is not about how your character lives day to day. It's about how you die. So, as the aforementioned 10 Candles name is, it's definitely a game you want to play, with dim lights completely off, and you light these 10 candles around you, and every time the player characters fail a roll, or if you will, botch a roll, they lose.
We will.
They lose one die. They will. They lose one dice, and the DM gets an extra dice for the remainder of the game, and one candle blows out, and the advancement of the story plot continues. Before the game even starts, each character records their last day on Earth message to the world. And as you're playing through it and the candles get blown out and characters botch rolls, the characters die off. And at the end of the game, after all the characters have passed on, you replay their last day on Earth memo. And it not only gets this eerie kind of feeling of, reminiscent, but like look at frailty, but I've played games where people use that found recording as the starting point for their next character in the next session. And it's a unique perspective, and it's very, very heavy, I would say, but it is a refreshing change to the normal, you become the king of Ravencroft and live happily ever after story mode.
Yeah, because to me it sounds as though it's a game that, say if I had a group of friends who was maybe not completely into tabletopping or completely into this type of, group setting, maybe something like that, where it seems a little bit more down to earth and a little bit more involved with everyone at the table, as opposed to this is the character you play. It's more like the interactions you have. I feel like that would be a very good maybe starting point to maybe getting people together, building that, that friend group up to then maybe if they like that and exposing them to that to then bring it into, another game perhaps. But I thought it was just a really cool concept, the way that you would record the way you died and then would play it once you passed. I just feel like that would be very eerie.
It kind of reminds me of another game that it wasn't a role-playing game per se, but there was a very niche. Do you remember back in the day they used to have VHS board games?
No, I don't.
You really?
Yeah.
Legit, you would put in the video, and you'd hit play, and that's when you would start playing, and it would tell you what to do, and what. Anyway, the name of the game was called Nightmare. And did you ever play that, Jura?
I cannot say that I have. No.
It shocks the shit out of me, to be quite honest. And what you would do is every person that's playing would write their deepest fear on this like card with a wipeable marker, and you'd mix them up and put them in the middle of the board. And you had to get around the board. In this video, this dude, kind of like a crypt keeper sort of host guy, he would be like, "Stop! Stand up, maggots!" And he would like make one person roll, and that person would be like his bitch the entire game that he would just give shit to. Another one would be his favorite, and you'd get like benefits and subtraction stuff like that. But at the very end of the game, you got to the middle, and if you picked up the card and you read it because they were shuffled, and it was your fear, then you have to start back over. But you still have to read the fear aloud.
Oh.
And if it wasn't your fear, it's someone else's, you win. But if you get your own fear, you go back to the beginning. So it's kind of like just that whole sense of real life dread and finality being added into a game, like what you're talking about. I love that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Oh, I do too. You got to remember, like you said before, like a lot of other cultures don't necessarily fear death. Like I've always grown up, you hear the old stories of Nords and stuff, and like they embraced it and they embraced it, and I mean it's true. It's not a scary concept. So getting to die that heroic death in 10 Candles or Nightmare even, it's like, oh cool,
Maybe I feel like maybe it's more fair to not say that the Nords embrace death, but maybe more that they respect it. Embracing it, saying like they want it. I don't think that's the case. I just think that they respect what it is. They understand it's unavoidable. Like it's just like that's that's the one cosmic rule you can't do shit about. And I'll be honest with you, dude. I am scared as hell of death. I'm not scared because. Well, here's what's weird. I'm not scared about it because it's going to happen to me. And this is going to sound really sappy and really corny. But the fact of the matter is that once I'm dead, the time I get to spend with the people I love is over. Does that make sense? Like, it's not it's the fact that I won't get to see the people I love anymore. Like, that bothers me. It's not death itself, because I don't believe that death is just death. Like, I don't. I've got my own little weird beliefs. But the fact of the matter is, it's not the same anymore. You're not going to wake up and see them anymore. You can't just call your kids and see how they're doing. You're dead. You know what I mean? Like, that's it.
It depends on how well you roll on the corpus chart. And
I'm a huge fan of Geist. I'm just saying. No, but that's what scares me about death. It's not the fact that it's going to happen and that I'm not going to live anymore. It's that I'm not going to get to love my people the same way. That's why I'm scared. And I know it's
right. And that makes sense. I mean,
this is my view on it. But
I'm afraid that I'll never get to eat ribs again. Like that's my I'll never get another McRib, and that's what scares me.
And this is our moderator, everyone.
That's actually pretty practical logic, though.
I love it.
I'm not arguing
it.
No, but there's something to be said for that. It's the small shit. Like, you get to wake up. You see, Nick, you're not addicted to coffee like I am. There's nothing.
Oh, God.
There's nothing. What was that? Why are you saying that?
Nothing. Just, yep. You are not addicted to coffee like Chris is.
It's true. Nobody in the group's addicted to coffee like I am. I am the coffee dude. Like, that's just...
This dude had 2 energy drinks already just in this conversation.
Yeah, but I need them tonight. Normally I don't do that, but Friday nights, that's going to be my new ritual, man. You better get used to that shit. Yeah. I'm up at 3:30 in the morning.
We're on a schedule now, everyone.
Yay!
We've adjusted our schedule to meet the demands of 2 people who are not here. Let me uproot my entire life to make sure that I facilitate the people who are not here.
That is the most passive aggressive shit that I've ever heard you say out of a long list of passive aggressive shit. So good for you. I don't know. So, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, Jura, obviously, thank you for getting on the phone. We're gonna hop off because we're about to start playing. We're gonna record, but thank you for being on the phone. We definitely are going to do this again.
Yeah. Any final words, Jura? Until next time.
For what? I'm sorry.
Any final comments until next time?
Do good, die great.
I like it. That's a very Nord thing for you to say.
I also really love that, like, Jura's a Viking living in Florida. I absolutely love it. Oh, there's one more thing we were going to talk about.
Okay, go ahead.
The potential of the Botch Tour.
The Botch Tour.
Botch Tour 2020. Ooh. Jacksonville.
Ooh.
So we are planning to try to crash near Jura and invade wherever space he's at some point. Because, we've had people ask us if we're going to conventions. We've had people ask us if we're going to run games at conventions. And to be quite honest, we're not sure what the hell we're doing yet. But we would like the idea of getting together with people that follow us. It's kind of cool. So I think the plan is to try at some point next year, I mean, hopefully February, based on what we were talking.
Yeah.
To go and hit up a couple of the gaming stores in Florida that you frequent, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Botch Tour 2020.
We are in the midst of setting up some definitive venue, and also at the same time preparing the state of Florida for the oncoming slaughter that is the Botch Boys. It's not going to be like Big Mouth, I promise.
I want it to
that.
be just
He
like
says,
Big Mouth,
I
though.
mean, so it's funny because as we talk over here,
Touch yourself, Jimmy.
I still haven't watched it yet. I'm out of the loop on this one.
What the fuck?
Why does he sound? Why is he that good at the impersonation?
You think I'm good at it?
Very. It's scary.
Is the thing that you're quoting a masturbation demon?
Yeah.
That's why Nick sounds so accurate. I think that kind of explains itself away, if you ask me.
I thought it would be funnier.
Oh no, you let the penises out. Like, this is fucking terrifying.
So
Honestly, I figured myself everything that I did. I thought it would be funnier in person.
I have a feeling I'm going to be stuck in like a hotel room or some shit while you're just dragging Nick along on a debauchery tour of 2020.
You say that, but you have no idea what I'm capable of, and you're going to find out.
I'm not surprised. No, nothing about this surprises me. But I'm saying I'm domesticated. Nick, you could do whatever the fuck you want to that kid. Like,
What the
He's
fuck?
done. Nick's done. That poor
Are we
boy.
going to Big Titty Gotchic Mansion?
he's gonna show up just doing the walk of shame every day. He's just gonna come back, his hair's disheveled, lipstick on his teeth.
I'll have a drag redheaded wig on or
If
some
I
shit.
if I can set it up when you guys come down here, I will take you to Castle Brostar, and you will know the true walk of shame.
What's funny, and again, I'm domesticated, so I'll just be like poking around at your books and shit. And meanwhile, Nick's just getting violated like 3 rooms over. He'll be like, grass! Grass! Meanwhile, I'm looking through friggin' whatever the German game you were talking about was. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I just look out the door, Nick's getting dragged down the hall, fingernails scraping the floor. I'm like, Nick, that's hardwood floor. You gotta pull the claws up, buddy.
Something else.
You're gonna be all right, Nick. Everything. Don't panic. Don't. Oh no.
It's just like Echo. He's like, help me! No.
Don't scream. Don't. It just makes him happier.
I'll be like, not feeling so passive aggressive now, are you, motherfucker?
He's in danger.
I'm in danger. All right, man, we're hopping off. Thank you so much, dude.
Absolutely, guys. You guys have a good night. I'll talk to you later.
You too. Take care, dude.
See you later, man.
Bye.
Bye.
Later. Bye.
That dude is fucking legit.